To look at what we're teaching our young men and boys. A new book looks at why teaching boys about male nurses and librarians is as important as teaching girls about female justices and astronauts.
Yes, boys can. Inspiring stories of men who changed the world shares the biographies of 50 fascinating men making strides in fields we typically consider female, specifically in health education, the arts, and literacy. And Richard Reeves is also founding president of the American Institute for Boys and Men, and he joins us. Good morning.
Good morning.
Why do we need this institute? What is it that you guys are trying to establish here?
Yeah, well, there's a couple of things. One is that I think we've done a really good job of drawing attention to many of the ways that women and girls need help, and we have to absolutely carry on doing that. Mm-hmm. And also, a big part of that has been to get women into male professions. You know, people used to talk about male lawyers and female lawyers or male doctors. We used to have to gender them. And now, of course, those are 50-50. And we've made huge strides in getting women into STEM professions. I bet you most people listening to this have heard the term STEM.
Yeah.
Science, technology, engineering, and math. And we've really worked hard to break down gender stereotypes around certain kinds of occupation. But for other professions, in education, in social work, in mental health, we've actually seen a massive decline in the share of men. So those are becoming female professions. And I think gender stereotypes are really bad in both directions, and hence this new book and the work we're doing, which is to really encourage boys and men to see themselves in roles that we typically see as for women, just as we've done it the other way around.
And sometimes, you know, with all of this push for women, have the boys been left behind? You mentioned how a gender gap, it's actually wider today than it was in the early 70s, but it's reversed. Especially you can see that with college degrees for men.
Yeah, that's right. The gender gap on college degrees now is about 60-40. So about 3/5 of their college degrees now going to women. And that is, as you say, a reversal of the gender gap that many of us probably used to know about in the 70s when it was the other way around. Well, I think it's partly because the K-12 system is just not boy-friendly enough. I mean, I mentioned a moment ago the decline in the share of male teachers, but just to put a data point on that, it used to be that 33% of teachers were men. That was in the 1980s. It's now 23% and falling. And there's some evidence that a lack of male teachers does really disproportionately affect boys. I think there are other things going on, but I really worry that education in particular, we're just emptying the men out, and that just can't be good for anybody, especially boys.
Yeah, imagine the same for nurses and social workers. Are there other occupations that we should be looking at?
Yeah, social work for sure, but just mental health generally. I mean, I was really staggered to find the decline in the share of psychologists that are male. We only have to go back a couple of decades, and most psychologists were male. In fact, there was a big criticism. Now it's now 20%. And among psychologists under the age of 30, only 5% are male. If you go into a psychology classroom, it's almost entirely female. And so, interestingly, like the share of women in engineering, in science, in law and medicine is way higher than the share of men in teaching, nursing, and especially these mental health professions, which I think representation matters in both directions.
Well, you go through in your book some examples of famous people that kind of, it was maybe unusual to do the jobs they were doing back in the day. Talk about Booker T. Washington, a name we all know.
Yeah, so he's someone who I think is a really kind of important figure because he's associated with the civil rights movement, but also as an educator, right? And I think one of the interesting things is that you'll see that among a certain generation of men who associate themselves with issues around justice, with civil rights, with education, they then ended up seeing either they came from or went into classrooms, social work, etc. Another one that's probably perhaps less well known to some, but Whitney Young, who became a social worker, a colleague of Martin Luther King's, etc. And it's interesting to me how historically many of those roles, education, social work, medicine, healthcare, we have examples of men in nursing, actually were seen as a very noble cause for men as well as for women. And something's happened in recent years where these have become seen as women's jobs. And so the plea here really to parents, to educators, to everybody is to just make sure that as we knock down the gender stereotypes around ideas of engineering just being for men or law just being for men, let's be really careful to make sure that we draw attention to some of the historic figures that are male who've been in these female-dominated
Right.
professions. The hope is to inspire boys with those stories and men in the same way that I think we've inspired many girls and women with stories of women in science and technology.
All right. Richard Reeves, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
The book is on your screen again.
It's called Yes, Boys Can. Richard, we appreciate you joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Time for On Town.
Hey, Anna.
Hey, good morning. In Park checking out Caleco Park. Mark